Game number 1. And in the top left, we have the man of the hour. He's 8-0, currently in his group. And he's opening with a really, really fast gas. His name is Dark, playing for Dragon Phoenix Gaming. What is this build, Lambo, before you introduce the other guy?
It is a 13-12 where you want to make it, I guess, look like it's a pull first, and you want to straight up kill your opponent, honestly. So speedling pressure.
No,
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the bottom right, the red Terran player who's going for what looks to be a low ground wall, potentially multiple Rex Reaper opener. It is SpeCial.
All right. Now, I've absolutely no clue how this matches up against each other. As I do watch a fair amount of ZVT, but this specific scenario, this might be a unique game, Lambo.
I think it should be an actual free win for the turn. So there you have it.
I thought he was going to get a Nexus, a command center as well, but this is just 3 Rex Reaper or 2 Rex Reaper?
Two Rex Reaper, most likely, yeah. But I mean, he has a wall at the front, so...
Yeah. Okay. Is this how it ends?
I think it is. And this is so typical because this is the way Dark plays. So, I mean, he keeps all inning and it keeps working. He's so strong in these group stages in general. I can't remember the last time he didn't make it out of the group stage in Katowice. But yeah, this is not gonna... If he wins this game, I would be very surprised. At least he's gonna start from behind. I mean, at least the Reapers are not gonna do anything. So
that's kind of the nuclear option of making sure you don't die against Reapers. Just one base all inning yourself. Sounds like a Reddit suggestion if I've ever heard one. All right, yeah, I'm curious to see how this is going to work out. We have 4 links, 6 links out on the map, 4 more on the way. It's going to be going up to 10. And you think he's just going to keep rallying after he sees this wall? He's going to be cursing
Jones.
A little bit under his breath.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to make Jones now for sure. He only made 10 Zerglings so far, so it is at least good for him that he sent the first Overlord straight across. Obviously, no reason not to do it since this is naturally safe against any proxy Rex. And now he's just waiting for the Reapers, and he is praying that for some reason the depot is open, which there is literally no reason to because the Reapers can just walk out. And SpeCial will realize that there's something wrong here because there's a pull first and this is no queen here yet. And now there's a speed already, so he already knows he has some units.
Right, those 2 Reapers though, which would suck a little bit. So at least Dark does get something for all of his money invested. Now we see the command center for SpeCial is starting here on the low ground, and he just looks to be in a fine position, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely a good position for the Terran, and like if you do any damage with this, you're pretty happy rather than just forcing, like even just forcing out links. I think is usually what the result looks like from hatch first. So if you force out links from a gas pool hatch opening, then that's obviously good. Where you can just go for the 3cc yourself, and I've even seen him go 3cc battlecruiser with this. So this might be one of the things he could be following it up with. I definitely expect a reactor on the factory.
Ooh, here's the lift. Big play. Burrows it back in time as well, or lands it back in time. This guy's balls of steel, man. That's crazy. Okay, we see Starport coming down. We see a tech lab straight away starting on that factory. Reapers patrolling like a madman on the high ground as well. Now moves down.
Yeah. It's really good for him that he got the bottom right spawn. Otherwise, the add-ons would be on the outside. So that's really good for him right now. Also, he's going for a straight-up tech lab. So I assume he might be a little bit afraid and maybe wants to get out a quick Banshee. As I said before, he did go 3C battlecruiser. I have seen this before from him. But he has very little scouting information right now, so he might be afraid of a Roach ling all in, which as a Zerg player, I can tell you it can't hit very early, but Dark is still going for something of those sorts.
Yeah, and Banshee is going to be such a good counter against it as well. So he's going to be counter into counter. SpeCial's even going to see the Roach Warren, and he will be very happy with the choice he made just a moment earlier, going into that cloak, into that Banshee. That's... I mean, Banshees, well, Roaches don't shoot up, and Banshees do shoot down, so that's an issue for Zerg.
I actually think having scouted it is a little bit worse for him, because now Dark is going to change his plans and not go for an attack no matter what. So if he just had 2 Banshees ready and the other guy will be Roach Ravager Lingolding him, it would be super easy to hold. Now, instead, Dark is just going to try to play a macro game from behind, which is going to be relatively tough, but I mean, he's on fire today, so I wouldn't put it past him to come back from this situation.
It's going to be so freaking rough, though. Holy crap. See a Terran on 40 SCVs already taking his third base at 5 minutes and 12 seconds, while Dark Star started with a 13-12, which achieved absolutely nothing. These Banshees are still on the way out. It's so funny how that worked, actually. The scout helped so much for Dark. He was building spores just now. He actually cancelled one at the third base, which I guess is because his lair finished, or what was
it's because he didn't see any Banshees leave the base yet, and his lair is done, so he doesn't really need to be too afraid. And I think if you're behind as a Zerg, you just try to cut as many corners as possible that you figure. Like a reasonable corner cutting, I think, is very good in this scenario. And I mean, Dark plays his style very often from behind. I see him play this Roach style with super late upgrades and then into Lurkers and Hive. I see him play from behind a lot, and it's very, very hard to kill him. The thing is, you always get behind if you play this, usually, because you give up the map control and the ability of doing economic damage to the Terran, who can just freely expand. So these are the downsides, and I think he's used to kind of playing from this position. Now he completely didn't see these Banshees. They were cloaked from super far away, and he did cancel that spore, as you said, so this is getting even worse.
Yeah, this is very, very painful as the first 6, 7, 8 workers are going down already now. Especially going to pop into the main base. See, what about the spore in the main body? But there is a spore there, so shouldn't be able to do too much damage anymore. However, this is once again a full base, not mining. We see 2 medevacs moving out already. It's 58 workers against 57. There's 29 marines, and there's 8 roaches on the map. Is it possible that Dark just straight up dies once 1-1 finishes?
If SpeCial moves out, yes. There's a big possibility of that happening. But very often, especially if you don't entirely know the position that you're in, which might be a little bit weird since I don't think he encountered this ever with the Rex, he might not be wanting to do this, because if you move out against a Roach Ravager, you might lose all your tanks. Obviously too corrosive by it, but even just these medevacs are trading very effectively right now, since there is no mobile anti-terror besides the Queens. So you can get a lot of good value out of them.
Yeah, second factory is on the way already. Gonna be increasing that tank production. Here we do have that move out. Banshee's taking out a lot of creep in the middle. Rocks are still up. And tunneling claws as well as burrow is being researched here for Dark. So perhaps some counterattack with roaches. You mentioned the weakness of this is often the lack of putting on pressure onto your opponent. Perhaps tunneling claws could be something of an outcome there for Dark. Dark tries to push into this position, but even unsieged, without combat shield, without 1-1, he doesn't feel comfortable. Well, guess what, buddy? It's about to get so much worse once 1-1 does end up finishing up in 4 seconds. SpeCial actually fighting the majority of the time without these upgrades. I think a little bit too eager there.
Yeah, and he also fought into a concave. So this was basically the best case for Dark. And now SpeCial scans forward, he sees there are no drones, and he goes back. Which I respect that decision. It is very safe. And now Dark is getting into the slightly later stages. He's nowhere close to Lurkers and Hive yet, and he's even going for a Nidus Worm. So he's just trying to think what are the coming mechanics of Zerg, and he's like, Burrow, Nidus Worm, yeah. Sounds about right, while going for the best defensive army, which is Roach Ravager, at least early on. So I understand all the steps that Dark is taking. He's now getting Pathogen Glance even. Oh, wow.
This is something I haven't seen since Nurcho touched the game. This is insane. Solid Biles hitting that medevac. Nidus, by the way, won't be spotted in the corner of the base. Look at the vision of SpeCial. That's insane. He's going to be missing that for sure. And is there any turrets up? No, there's not. We see the initial attempt does fail, and these roaches will go down. Burrow will go, or the Nidus will go up though in the main base. And what is waiting in that Nidus worm? There's nothing. A couple of roaches pop in. They now come out of the Nidus. A couple will burrow into the natural. This looks very bad, but 2 Liberators will make short work of those roaches. And I don't think we're going to see much more damage than a handful of SCVs, honestly.
It looks like SpeCial did not notice though that 3 of the roaches burrow towards this natural, and there are no turrets done yet, so this might be a little bit annoying. Misses another scan on the main base. He does notice though that there are roaches in the natural now. Dark is really good with this, honestly. He's splitting them everywhere. And he's also defending at home at the same time against the job. So now he's getting up his 5th base. While SpeCial has not saturated his 4th base yet. And he's making plays that are making this game a lot closer than it should be.
Yeah, definitely. And if anything, they're just extending the life of Dark little bit by little bit. He might not be cured out of his terrible predicament, but he is moving forward into this game. And the longer the game goes, usually the more even it kind of becomes, right? If you have a lead early on and you're up like 30, 40 army supply, with an army that only consists of 60 army supply, that's a massive amount percentage base. But once both players kind of max out and you're just up 3k in bank, all of a sudden that lead in money isn't that important anymore, because both players will have a good army. And as Dark is very capable of playing a solid late game, I'm kind of starting to fear here for SpeCial. Now, of course, he still is going to have a massive push out with 9 tanks, but there is Burrowed Infestors on the map. There is the possibility of a Nidus. Tunneling Claw Roach are actually going to be able to find a way into the main base, and Nidus gets rebuilt as...
The tanks in the main army of SpeCial all get caught unsieged with a Burrowed Infestor catching them. Those were 5 tanks just going down for almost free. Now he does save 2 of them, also getting away from the corrosive fight, but just barely. And that was very important. As you said, Dark is just making moves that make it so he can stay alive. But the longer this goes, and the more tech that he gets up, like if he, for example, gets Vipers, he could clear up this army, I'm pretty sure. And at this point, there's only 4 tanks, and all of the Marines are very low HP already. This again is a nice concave for Dark and a decently good fight for Dark.
Yeah, and SpeCial needs to be so careful against these fungals. Like you mentioned, completely overstimming those Marines a couple of times. I'm not sure what happened there. Drop on the left side is doing some damage. Dark still on an abysmal drone count. So even though SpeCial is taking what feels to be like losing fight after losing fight, even though units lost is relatively equal, by the way, it still is an okay situation, right? Dark still is on a crap army consisting of a lot of roaches. The problem for SpeCial right now, though, is he only is on 2 tanks and the rest is Marines. His army isn't that hot either.
Yeah, absolutely. As he's dropping into the main base and he's taking a decent engagement, again loses a medevac to the corrosive bite. I mean, it is so impressive to me that Dark is trading equally with Roach Ravager against Bio. That's insane, honestly. That's not supposed to be the case. I'm not actually sure how he's making that work. And now finally, SpeCial is taking extra geysers, and he also has 2 extra factories at the front, so he can make 3 tanks at the same time and also go into Ghost, which obviously will have to be the play later on, but he doesn't have a sensor tower yet, and even the wall is open here for the roaches, although I don't think it matters with this amount.
Yeah. He can, whether the door is open or not, it's going to get knocked down. That's what Dark says. He's also taking out the depot that was so welcoming to him. Invited him with open arms. He tries another play with the burrowed roaches, but SpeCial says, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you. I have no clue what the proverb is, but something like that, Lambo. And the roaches do get scanned out. Won't be able to be a threat later on, as the tank count's still very, very low. SpeCial also massively supply blocked and missing these roaches. He's gonna lose 2 more tanks. We have a single tank with 70 Marines right now.
The way Dark is playing is so crazy. The amount of tanks, I've never seen just roaches pick up so many tanks for basically free, while SpeCial is also trying to multitask, but it feels like Dark is just playing a little bit faster than him almost.
A little bit faster indeed. We have a Marine spread in the middle of the map. I'm not quite sure what these guys are doing, but they'll be able to find this
He should scan there now, no? Yeah. He scans. I mean, that's very obvious. There was no other thing that could have given vision there, so maybe I'm not sure about that Nidus, but he is up to a lurker then, and he already has the adaptive talents, and all he needs now is the
seismic spines. Yeah,
seismic spines, and then he is in that late game, and yeah, SpeCial is only on 2 tanks versus a guy that already has 2 Vipers out.
Yeah, 5th base is going to fall though, especially doing a good job denying those bases on the sides. Creep spread also not looking extremely hot. However, the 5th base for SpeCial also has been delayed a little bit. We see a Ghost Academy going down, and even though SpeCial once again isn't necessarily behind, mentally this is so bad because he knows of how good a position he was, right? Like, he surely must know he lost 5 tanks in the middle of the map, took an awful engagement at the top, and he still is in the game completely. Snipes those 2 Vipers, by the way, which is a big deal. Dark starts attacking his own extractors after his Vipers got killed. He was like, still want to take the life away on these somehow. So roaches do help out there. Links are streaming in and SpeCial doing a good job multitasking. It almost feels like as if SpeCial is like, okay, now that I'm kind of in an even spot again, let's actually try to play very precise and very proper. And he gets the best damage done that he really has been able to do so far this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually don't think SpeCial is that far ahead anymore at all, because if you trade equally for so long, that means that later on, when it's gonna be harder for the Terran to keep expanding, that's when it's a lot easier for you to play as a Zerg because your bank is gonna shoot up. Now, with the style that Dark is playing, he's on a very low drone count, so he might not have that one power spike that Zerg usually has, which is trying to take fights and dominate once the Terran tries to go up to 6 base, whereas the Zerg already mined out his 7 bases of the map. So as long as he trades like this, I think he's completely fine. And even though he still has a bunch of roaches left over, he also has still 5 infestors left over. He has a new Viper, and he started lurker production as well against a player that only has a single ghost. So honestly, I think we're almost evened out.
Ooh, and this might just be what completely evens up as SpeCial yeets 3 of his medevacs into a Spore and 4 Hydras. These bad boys will be able to clean it up, and Dark's probably going to be feeling comfortable. Ooh! SpeCial noticing 12 roaches burrowed. Ideally, Dark gets something done with them, but I mean the roaches are kind of out of this game, no? Like it's not like roaches are going to be playing a massive role anymore here.
As he did shift click a Liberator into a Spore, so that does happen to even the best players out there. And yeah, the one thing that SpeCial still has very much so going for him is that Dark's creep spread is not that great. So that's the one thing, and the second thing is that there are no melee upgrades yet, so he still doesn't need to worry about the big Ling Bane attacks that just destroy a planetary, right? Like, none of that happened so far, which is also why I'm a little bit surprised by the speed that SpeCial has been expanding. I think it could have been a little bit faster as well. Yeah, Dark just left 3 lurkers there, which kind of killed some bio units. At the same time, SpeCial trying to drop at the top where there are also a bunch of lurkers and spores. Dark just turtling forward is very, very cool to see. It's almost a ZVP-esque approach to the matchup.
Look at this James Bond investor, man. He's on a very tight patrol leash here. He's allowed to move strictly with the wall close to him. Idiot. I'd be able to catch his medevac though, but I have a feeling this guy's not going to be used very much this game.
Yeah, I mean, he might see it now, honestly. Like, a fungal would kill all of this.
Oh, look at Henry the Infestor, man. This James Bond's dumb brother. Another knight is going down on the left side. Might see a little bit of a rotation with some lurkers in there. Try to clear that orbital, but honestly there's 3-4 freaking tanks there, so SpeCial should be fine. Every time I go to that side of the map, I just see this idiot moving around the pillar and makes me happy.
Oh my god, this guy's really sleeping on his job. Come on, man. You have to look there, right? There's a...
Oh!
Yeah!
There goes Henry. Pop.
Wow.
Pops out, throws out.
Die for it for sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. That's the difference between him and James, alright? That's the difference between him and James. Is we have a Liberator harassing on the bottom side. SpeCial moving actually in with a pretty decently sized army and clears up a couple of lurkers. Good scans coming out. This base once again most likely is going to die. Dark has a good bank, sure. But I feel like the trades have been getting a little bit worse for him in the last minute or so.
Yeah, I think especially this trade on top is the first one that has actually been going SpeCial's way quite heavily. Now Dark is still trying to counterattack with his Roach Force, but every single time you try to do anything against Ghost, when you retreat with these units, you lose expansive units for every single snipe, and that's what we're seeing here. This is why usually you prefer to have Ling Bane on the counterattack force, because it's not as committed. The units are faster, they can disengage better if you see your opponent is in position, and that's the downside of the style that Dark has chosen to play here.
They're also quite cheap, right? So even if they do get sniped, like losing one Ling is not quite as bad as losing a Ravager or an Ultra or a Lurker.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen a Terran snipe a Zergling personally, especially since the Ghost just two-shot them, but...
I hear you haven't heard of the StarCraft Master Challenge then. The 29th one is where you need to use a Ghost, Switch Snipe and Stimp Marines to take out Banelings and Lings coming at you from multiple angles.
I have played that, but that's at least Banelings, right? And that's also with the old snipe.
That's true, that's true. Right. I'll give you that one, Lambo. You win again. Nidus goes down, which is trying to block a command center from landing. We have things run by just look silly.
Very weird set of units. All of these units are very bad against tank Ghost, so he needs to really watch out. If there's Ghost there and he retreats, he just loses all of his units. Oh, good EMPs, and now he can start sniping everything.
Yeah, definitely can. As we have a couple of tanks moving forward as well. Scan galore. as SpeCial sees absolutely everything. We'll take out this base for what feels like the third time this game. SpeCial's been fantastic at these fights so far. Needs to be careful now though that he doesn't just get lurkered upon. There's no tanks in position. Gets a little bit of a concave going, but still stands in range of a lot of these lurkers. So not the hottest fight for him there. Now sieges up one of the tanks. Good snipes. A little bit late with the scan though. Moves out of lurker range, and first part of that fight not that great, but kind of saves it in the end as Dark... I'm not quite sure what he's doing right now, but he still feels comfortable in pushing forward. These ghosts on the top side of this army are so close to dying as these links are chasing, but without any upgrades. Well, actually, no, the links do have +2 as well, so do a little bit of damage at least. No adrenal glands though.
Yeah, he does not have adrenal glands yet, which is a mistake, by the way, with the amount of Zerglings that he's making. If SpeCial stepped one step further back, that would have been a brilliant fight for him, but he lost a lot of tanks there that were still unsieged because he thought he was out of range.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a mistake that cost him. But the last couple of fights, if you look at the resources lost, it's been going worse and worse for Dark. And usually if you see a Zerg player that lost 5k more than the Terran, the Zerg is probably dominating at this stage of the game. But with the amount that Dark mined, now he's finally up to 100 drones. But this is very, very late. Yeah, shift click.
Yeah. See another Liberator get shift click to that there. The orbital... Oh my god, this orbital just... He doesn't give a crap about anything. This is the paradox. He needs to land to scan, but if he scans, he dies. He just burns to death. That's it.
Ah. Paradox. I could have just landed a mute. Slow day. Running forward. Good fungal on the Medevacs, but no Vipers to Parasitic Bomb. And there are no ghosts anymore at the top of the map. He only has 3 ghosts. And there are no tanks in position. This base, I don't think SpeCial can defend. Oh my god, that's where all the tanks are.
I was wondering, where did the tanks go? And apparently they're stuck behind the wall in the natural. This planetary gets taken out. SpeCial was fighting so well these last few minutes. Right now wondering where his supply went. It's like, oh my god, are you joking? As I'm not quite sure what is blocking it exactly. I guess there's a turret here that might have done the job. There is, I mean, he still has a decent army and he has a good army size as well. But losing that right side base is painful as his mining has been reduced to 200 a minute. At the moment, while Dark is on 94 workers, re-established these middle bases, and Dark is looking for trades.
Yeah, he is, and he's very Zergling heavy right now, which is decent against the army that SpeCial has, honestly. He just needs to make sure that he doesn't engage into planetary, and then he should be fine. And now he can finally start retreating again. There's not that many ghosts anymore, so he doesn't lose a ton of lurkers every time he retreats. However, he does have barely any anti-air, so the 2 Liberators are working wonders right now.
Another Infestor goes down. 104 army supply against 94. Not a single tank sieged here. Can SpeCial split well enough to win this fight? I think the answer is no, as he taps out and Dark saves his clean record after a game that is was very interesting.
It was very interesting. Honestly, that was very exciting as well to see him come back from that position. I said the way he's playing right now, I wouldn't put it past him, but to be honest, I was just doing a caster thing because he was really dead.
Yeah,
and
yeah, he was. It was over. He was down 30 supply and he was making roaches against someone that went triple factory tank. Like the moves that Dark was pulling in this game is. He's in the zone, guys. All right, I saw some guys in the. I saw you guys. I saw the guys there like. Why would Dark still try? He's already through in first place. He's not gonna show anything. Man, he just showed a sick game. Idiots.
Idiots. Haven't you guys seen the signature series of Dark? He wants to be synonymous with the game of StarCraft. Imagine going 10-0 at Katowice. It's something that no one else has ever done before.
Exactly.
That's an accomplishment that I think is even more important than the $100 that he gets extra.
Yeah, I think that's very nice. I wish I knew what the word synonymous meant, but as there's more than 2 syllables, now I struggle with those, Lambo. I thought we had an agreement about that.
I forgot for a second. I'm sorry. I apologize.
So we are heading into game number 2 here. It's going to be Death Aura, and Dark has to be feeling good. SpeCial has to be feeling pretty bad after a dead game, especially if he rewinded a bit earlier into the game. If this is the first series of the day, this would be tilting, but probably you can still go, hey, like, you know, I made like some huge errors. Let's just try to refresh the mind and go. But SpeCial had a very rough day already, and having such a big lead and then losing it is extremely painful. So it would be an insane feat of mental fortitude if he manages to put up a show here on that hour. And I'm curious to see if he can. Of course, I'm curious to see if Dark will be able to get his 10-0 as we're heading into game number 2 here. Dark versus SpeCial.
Yeah, this reminds me a little bit of Cyril versus Innovation. I believe it was 2018, also in Katowice, where I believe also Cyril was 4-0 and Innovation was 0-4 or something like that. And then that was the first series that Cyril actually lost, and those were some sick late games. Innovation just playing for fun and casually destroying him with Mascos in late game. So I would love to see SpeCial turning it around, as we have loaded into the map. And for potentially the last time today, I'm going to introduce the red Terran in the top left. Representing Team Axon, it is SpeCial.
And in the bottom right, one map away from going 10-0 in the group stage, something that has never been done before in Katowice. His name is Dark. Dragon Phoenix Gaming. They have a very nice logo, by the way. Holy crap. Actually very nice. You can see the full score, the bigger logo, if you press Control and tilde, by the way. You get a little player card that I just figured out. If you use the Pro 2020 overlay, of course.
Which I am, but it's not working because I have a German keyboard, so...
There you go, Lambo. I knew I could get you somehow. Here's the payback of all those difficult 3-syllable words. Can you talk a little bit about that, Ara? I actually don't see too many TVZs on this map. What is the reason for that?
I don't know. This is the most even map in TVZ, so it should be the one that you see the most. So
perhaps
it's very surprising,
TVZs.
especially considering that we're playing Archon very often against Rainer, and it's the first map he hosts every time. But other than that, I mean, it is a map that both parties like. It is a little bit hard to die as a Zerg, but it still has a nice tank position. Among the fort, like close to the fort base of wherever the Zerg decides to expand, and especially can become quite hard later on in the game for Zerg to establish a 6th base, because usually the Terran can push on 2 different sides of the map at the same time, semi off creep, and it's very hard to take good trades against that. So yeah.
All right. That was a lot of in-depth information on this map, as we see this Reaper being rallied around and making sure that he doesn't hit any of the speed zones.
Yeah, this is not the fastest way for the Reaper, but you can theoretically check a little bit for the drone that takes the 3rd hatch. However, it arrives so late that even the 28 hatch, I call this the late clash opener, where you get the extra drone and Overlord. Yeah, the hatch is in time, where as long as you delay your speed, which is what Dark is doing, you can get it before the Reaper arrives. So yeah, no real reason to send it around there.
Even if jumping to a drone?
Yeah, Dark is good enough today that he's not going to lose a drone.
Yeah. This is not the day to go for a drone.
Yeah.
This is the day where you're happy if you get half health of one of the Zerglings, as Dark's been absolutely on fire today. We see SpeCial opening up with 2 gas. Starport is going down immediately, and we shall be seeing some cars being built right here. What are we expecting? Is this Banshee? Is there really that many different options from 2 gas?
Yes, every single starport unit is an option.
Every single starport unit is an option.
Viking, Liberator, Medevac, Banshee, and Battlecruiser all are viable. So yeah, it really depends on what the Terran likes. I know SpeCial sometimes on this map plays Raven actually into an 8 Drexel, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that. Yeah.
You know what I think of the Raven, right? I think it's my favorite unit to see built from the starport in this matchup. If we see a Raven, that would make my day. Yes!
And he's getting roadshelled and down now.
No, this is the one time the Banshee would have been preferred.
Yes, well, very much so. Yeah, that's the downside of the Raven. It can't shoot. So it's nice to clean some creep, but it takes a long time to build. It takes a lot of gas, which obviously also delays things like tank production, which makes it very greedy. And for all the SpeCial fans out there, you should hope right now that Dark is not committing to this road, because if he does, it's gonna be basically impossible to hold.
Yeah. On top of that, this is also... Oh, look at this Reaper. No, not... Oh, he scans. He scans the road warren.
Yeah, so I think Derek is not committing to it anymore, and he's already making drones. So he's just gonna make some safety roaches. Even safety roaches also very good against Raven openers. And special calls the bluff. He makes a second Raven, which is obviously the greediest version of this. But I assume with the second Raven, he's gonna use them to harass as well instead of just clearing creep. Especially because there are roaches out, you can't really use the Ravens together with the Harriers because the roaches can just go off creep and defend. Whereas the Queens, if they step off creep together with other turrets, they would die at the third base of Dark. The Raven is almost dying here. That was very, very close.
Ooh, the Hellions though popping in, saying hello to all these Zerglings. Where are the roaches? Where did the roaches go? They were halfway across the map.
The roaches went for a fake move out, and there are no Zerglings right now. The Zerglings are in production, which makes this all even worse for Dark because his drone count is already so bad because of the roaches. So with 14 drone kills, okay, this has to be how the perfect score ends. If he wins this game, that would be crazy. That's so bad for Zerg. Really, really bad start.
Yeah. The reason why Lando was saying is that these links, of course, the roaches would clean this up eventually. The links actually didn't contribute that much, so all of these links could have been potentially extra drones. We have another... Wait, is Raven still alive? What the heck?
Yeah, I went back in again, tried to drop an outer. Now in the main base, there's another Raven going in. Yep. And killed another drone, so... I mean, this is even better than the first game. A little bit. It's...
Really?
Yeah, I think so. So it would be insane for Dark to come back in this one as well, once again.
Ooh. We're seeing double tech labs. What is this?
Yeah, I think it's just because he went for roaches, for tanks to be safe, instead of making tech lab right away. So because it's so late, he wants a combat shields and stim at the same time.
Okay, makes sense. Double Evo going down here, but these upgrades won't be in time. Okay, I said it last game, but this game once again. A 1-1 timing here with a couple of tanks is going to be... That has to be rough to hold, no?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it just is. I think last time around he didn't control it perfectly. This time, you know what I would love to see, because he's up against roaches? I would love to see the Raven join with the main army and then use the anti-armor missile. Because you can't really split that well with the roaches. And roaches with minus armor against +1 marines are terrible. Like, even just against the marines. Don't even mind the tanks. So, yeah. Dark is once again playing from a little bit behind.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Depots get taken out by this little Ling run by. It's fun though, because Dark once again gets to kind of show off how good he is in these situations, which I don't get me wrong, I think Saro and Reyna are really good at coming back into games, but it feels like that Dark, he feels like he knows more gimmicks to get back into the game than you know, I guess Cyril and Rayner, I would say. It feels like it sometimes, and it almost feels on purpose sometimes, where he, he gets into a poor position with some weird all-in, and it's like, oh, here we go again. It happens very, very often to him. He has so much experience in these like god-awful places in games that he's kind of gotten good at abusing every single gimmick that he knows about. He's like, just has this massive checklist of garbage that he can still pull. It's like, oh, Burrow, check. I guess we throw in a Nidus. Then we get Henry Bond over here as well, patrolling around the pillar. Right now, the only thing that Dark is doing is looking around the map, finding a solid pillar, and he's not too happy with the result, I feel like. It's like half a pillar over here in the top side. It's not really a good pillar. It's tiny. There's too much green around it. Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah. SpeCial actually is going for... different than last game. He's not going for a straight up push. Instead, he's trying to split up his marines. So he's trying to do that multitasking earlier, which worked decently for him later on in the game. But he just started trying it very late into the last game. So this game instead, he's trying to get a forward base up. He starts the 2-2 right away, and maybe he's going to go for a maxed out timing instead of trying to lose units to the roaches right away.
Yeah, and we could say that Dark is not splitting too great, but honestly he hardly has the roaches to split across 3 bases, so he's always going to be slightly out of position. This guy's on 25 roaches. He's literally down in supply, making pure roach ravager against marine, tank, and even some marauders being added at this point. Vipers, however, are very, very fast, which might be helpful. Liberators are being added into the mix as well, and SpeCial is moving out.
Yeah. It does end up looking actually better, the situation, than last game. Last game he needed a couple more moves to survive to that hive tech. So this game he at least had the hive tech done way sooner. Now, still without... Oh my god, he got a couple of Medivacs with those corrosive ices. That's crazy that he keeps getting these pickoffs. Now he has lurkers on the way, and I'm not sure how useful they are because they do not have the range upgrade yet. So unless he wants to go for a straight up fight where he runs into the Tyrant, I feel like they should not be the most useful. Now SpeCial very aggressively goes forward a little bit too far into the lurkers. He needs to be a little bit careful with the Marines. A lot of Zerglings just rallying in and dying for free. If he's slow about this and if he sieges the tanks, as long as he doesn't get all of them abducted, it should be hard for Dark to defend this.
I guess this is the one thing where the lurkers are kind of helpful. When once those tanks get abducted, Marines can just move forward and kind of assist them.
There's too many units that need to be abducted right now, and he stims forward with a bunch of the Marines, and the lurkers don't have range. Usually if those lurkers had range, all the Marines would be under fire, which is just not the case here. But SpeCial overextends a little bit, and you need to unload the units. Okay, he doesn't do so, and he tries to disengage. Honestly, this was a good cleanup by Dark.
Good cleanup by Dark, who's now once again 160 supply, turning this game around. And as the fight ends, 2-2 finishes up for SpeCial. What felt like a little bit of a hurried push, perhaps. Too keen on killing his opponent here. Might just find himself into another late game where it's okay to go into a late game if you're this far ahead, but it felt like he was very invested into this push. We don't have a 5th CC yet, even though the ability of Dark to try and counter that or counter-attack there is very little. Right now we're seeing 3 lurkers being split off, moving into, well, I wouldn't say random locations. They're being moved around the map. I wonder if these are being hold-fired. Is that the case? No, it's absolutely not the case. It's just as a...
I mean, a single lurker doesn't even kill anything with
yeah,
Medivacs.
I'm not quite sure what this does.
It's like a worse borrowed bending, man.
Gives 2 warning shots as well before it takes anything down. Liberator that's been queued up. Actually gets microed away now when the Spore gets there. Takes out a couple of extra drones. SpeCial still up in supply. Lurker count at 10 though. Still no seismic spines. And it's not being researched. This is a mistake. This is not a decision.
Yeah, he definitely forgot about it. And the thing is, it is relatively easy to realize if you look at the interactions of the lurkers with the Marine and Marauder. And he should notice it pretty soon, I'd imagine. He also didn't have Hydra range yet. So, I mean, here we see the single lurker that kind of shot against a Marine that was in line, killed a bunch of Marines. Still, definitely that's not worth it. Lurkers are pretty expensive.
Yeah.
So,
still not getting it. That's actually kind of bad, and that allows for SpeCial to maybe have another shot with another push. Now SpeCial, of course, isn't really planning on the fact that didn't plan his game plan around the fact that Dark might forget seismic spines, but if he realized that it wasn't on the way, or if he would know for sure, then perhaps another move out could be worth it. There's 9 tanks on the map and only a single Viper right now, 3 Ghosts as well as enhanced shockwaves. We see SpeCial going to a late game, and honestly last game wasn't too bad. He actually jumps in on top of this, and right now Dark should realize, hey, something is off here.
Yeah, he should, but I'm not sure he does quite yet. I think the one thing that's very weird is that SpeCial plays as if Dark was going to attack him. I think SpeCial should expand way faster, both in the last game and in this game. He keeps not adding extra CCs, and he keeps not floating them over. So this is the one thing that kind of cost him the advantage. Like, even that push was fine. Even if you trade a little bit poorly, it's fine if you're ahead and you just keep auto-expanding the Zerg, which is actually entirely possible. But he's just not doing it, especially against this style. I think it would be very powerful. And now Dark feels like he has the space to go forward and start an attack, and there's actually an armory here in the wall, which is very exposed.
It's fine. SpeCial will be able to push it back, forces one of these Hydras to cancel its lurker form as the Hydra dies back in regular form. That's something at least.
Yeah, the Ghost outrange lurkers, by the way, because there's no...
is this hold fire?
Yeah, this is hold fire for sure.
Okay, yeah, okay. I didn't see that one forward lurker. I was like, oh, just outside of range maybe, but
I mean, the range isn't that right. Yeah. They're not made
this is the flank. This is the flank. This is the hold fire flank.
Where he forgets to activate it, or what?
No. I've seen Rogue do this against Innovation on this map, where he kind of forces the Terran back, and then you hold fire with like 3 lurkers in the back, and then boom, the army moves over it. You kill the entire army. Actually, it was
Or-
with 9 lurkers, not with 3. But my point still stands. Finally, Seismic Spines gets research here, by the way.
Yeah. Or this is just a surround because there's links next to it as well.
You and your logic. You have 3 lurkers on the right side. We'll be able to take out this army, as Dark is being very, very patient about all of this. Doesn't want to rush into this position too quickly. There's no Vipers in this army, so these tanks are going to be shooting for a very long time. Sometimes they say ignorance is bliss, but I'm sure that SpeCial would love to know that there's a big lurker flank coming from the back right now. As Dark moves in, good scan forward, scan backwards as well, but I think this army is going to get cleaned up. Interesting movement pattern with SpeCial, but he actually kind of gets out and might be able to force a cancel on this 7th base.
Yeah, I think SpeCial didn't realize there was no range because he could have constantly just ran forward with the ghost and snipe lurkers for free. Where he would have forced Dark to engage way sooner because you obviously need to protect your lurkers somehow, so the links would have needed to engage forward. So a little bit of a missed opportunity there, but I'm pretty sure he thought that Seismic Spines was done by now.
Yeah, how these medevacts, by the way, survived will forever remain a mystery to me.
Yeah, there was only one queen there as anti-air, but they shied the damage somehow perfectly, so that they all were 1 HP. That was pretty sick.
We now have Dark moving forward with Seismic Spines. All of these things become a little bit more powerful as the lurkers in the back are still only hitting SCVs for now. We'll be able to start targeting the army as SpeCial actually starts moving into range. 11 workers have gone down on his side. Scan forward. A lot of this army is overstimmed. This looks dangerous, but he does get the clean up. Was that a good trade, Lambo?
It was about an even trade, which I'm not sure is great for SpeCial because he's expanding very slowly and most of his army also remains very low HP, so he should take his time to regroup and to... I mean, he's trying to stim his Marauders to clear creep. Half of them don't even have the HP to stim anymore.
Yeah, that is sad. You don't have enough life anymore to get those stims going. What's the tank counter now? 7 tanks, 8 ghosts. There's no Vipers.
So
and
many
there's,
lurkers.
oh my god, how many lurkers is that? That is 22 lurkers right there, Lambo, and they're all at the same spot. It's kind of sprinkling them around like a little fairy dust from Tinkerbell and Peter Pan. Yeah, that's a
really
pop culture reference that I do know.
Yeah, I hope the Muslim is covering his eyes right now, or at least he's casting the mainstream so he doesn't have to look at these lurker numbers just running over the Tyrant and killing the most important, most exposed base. Now there is no overseer here, so the lurkers just go the ghosts just go forward. They need to make sure that he doesn't engage with anything else. So overall, decent clean, but at the same time the 3rd base though. Oh man, no, SpeCial is not paying attention here to his army, and GG is called. Dark